Morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are talking Tao of the day. Who is ready to do some Tao? This is Martin John once again bringing you the Tao of the day. The Tao brings me so much joy. I was just looking over what I've been writing recently, and really, this is about so much of what we're all going through right now. Dr. Rao came on yesterday and talked to us about this idea of like the screen is the reality, and yet the movie is what we're watching. And if we can get beyond the movie, he pointed out this idea that like the boy that was questioning what is reality, and the father said, well, it's the screen is the real thing, everything else is just an illusion. And the boy couldn't see the screen because the movie's going on, right? So the movie's going on and you can't see the screen. You're like, oh, is it the landscape, is it the space, is it the sky, is it the actors, is the words, what is it? All of these things are distracting us, and we do get distracted. We get distracted so much by what's happening, and we believe in what's happening to such an extent, to such a degree, that we actually think that that's what's going on, but it's not. And Dr. Rao pointed it out really well when he said, at the end of the movie, you sit down with the kid and you say, okay, we're going to wait until the movie's over. When the movie's over, the illusion goes away and there's just a screen. And the child says, oh, that's the screen. And then if he were to go into another movie, he'd still be able to get sucked into the senses, into the movie. But he would know that the screen is there, although he might not be able to see it. He might not be able to see the screen. And that's how we are. Although we know, we could read Tao, and we could have an idea of what Brahman is. And we can still get caught up in the senses. We can still get caught up in the concept, in this facade of reality, into this story that the senses are giving you the truth. It was 20 years ago when I first I was first sort of introduced to this 20 years ago, um, when I first saw What the Bleep Do We Know? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but great movie. I mean, not great in terms of film, but it was great concepts were in it. Dr. Joe Dispenza was in it. He's gone on to do a lot more. There were many other, this is sort of the beginning of the popular culture of, The Secret came out shortly after that and things like that. And The Secret's fine, whatever The Secret. John Assaraf, he's fine. He's fine. He's a great salesman. But there's all of this great work around this idea that this is just an illusion. If you've ever taken psychedelics, you'll know that yes, you can be fooled by your senses pretty easily. And your senses are constantly fooling you. And the idea is that no, your senses aren't what's true. And this is what Dr. Rao was saying yesterday in this concept of, not concept, in the story, in the parable of, you know, the the man, his son, and the movies, right? They went to the movies, they watched the movie. The son was just like, well, what is this? What is reality? And what was reality was what was behind the screen. And yet, in order to see, or what was behind the movie was the screen. And what was behind the movie wasn't visible to the child, because what was on that shallow light that just sat on top of it took away all of his ability to see the substrate, that which it was built on. And when he couldn't see it, when the child couldn't see it, he thought the movie was the reality, but the movie's the movie and the screen is the reality. And then you can't see the screen until you turn off the movie. And this is why we talk about meditation or mindfulness or anything else, because you have to stop the movie in order to see the screen. Now, you don't have to see the screen. You can trust that it's there and move forward, but the more you try and understand it without being able to quiet, the more you just get stuck in the movie. You get stuck in contemplating and in this idea of being in having your senses in a space. You get stuck in that. And so if you guys have a number between 1 and 81 you want to pick, definitely step up. Let me know. I would love to chat with you about your Tao for the day and see what that's pointing to in your life. I love being able to share this, and so I would love to have you up. Daryl, wonderful to have you up this morning. We're pulling up our translations now. How's it going, Daryl?
Good. I want the Martin John translation. I hear you're working on yours. I
I
love that.
am, and if you pick a number under 60, we can do that.
Oh, that's mine. Yeah, mine is under 60.
All right,
I'm driving on a highway and it's 55 miles an hour, so I'm going to go with
let's go with
55.
55. All right, so this was just done recently. So let's see if we can pull it up and let's see how I did. So let's see. One who has inner strength is like a baby boy at his peak, flexible and empty with no judgment. Bees, wild beasts, birds of prey cannot harm him. With no knowledge of the world, his penis can stand erect. He has no shame or questions of why. Caught in manifestation, the myriad scream for a time, and he hardly notices. His harmony is so aligned that he can also scream all day without getting hoarse. He is powered by his harmony, and it keeps all fear at bay. The master never speaks of possessing anything. Life is a blessing. Those who pursue power and excitement find themselves confused. They allow their emotions to guide them, and they become exhausted. It is not from Tao, and whatever is not from Tao is dead on arrival.
Wow, interesting. There's a lot of angles to that one. I don't have a tremendous amount of time because I'm getting ready for my talk with Dio coming up here at
Oh,
11.
beautiful.
Uh, but so yeah, when it comes, it's not saying to be emotionless, right? It's basically saying to be stand tall in the the zero. No.
Well, like what is emotion, right? We asked that. We can like
Mm-hmm.
emotions can move you in ways that are chaotic.
Mm,
One whose inner strength, one who has inner strength is like a baby boy at his peak,
yeah,
flexible and empty with no judgment. Right?
yeah. I thought that was
Bees,
really
wild.
interesting.
Yeah, go on.
No, I just thought that was really interesting because you think about when does when do we become our true personality, and it isn't really as an infant because there is a absolute, like you said, kind of emptiness that is there in an infant. They have some personality, but they don't have what you'll be at 35 personality.
Right. Yeah, they're
And
they're they're
so,
dealing with different
what do you
things,
mean?
right?
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. And but the flexibility is interesting because a baby with flexibility, as far as physical flexibility, or it's got to be physical, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, their bones are soft, right? Like a baby,
Yeah,
their bones
yeah,
are soft, so they have
yeah,
they have this like amazing flexibility. I don't know if you. I mean, you have children, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can when
And
you have a baby, you can just bend it in all sorts of ways.
yeah, they're
But
very
but but
flexible. Yeah,
that's a tip of the hat more or less to all flexibility. The more rigid you are,
right,
the less flexible you are in your mind, and it has no judgment.
right.
As it starts to get older, it creates or it adopts different sorts of judgments. It judgments about bees, wild beasts, and birds of prey that are harmful to him. And yet, he, as a baby with no judgment, they are not harmful to him.
Right.
And then we move into the next line, which is this beautiful line about the penis, right? Like it's about the body interacting with the world and its vital power. With no knowledge of the world, his penis can stand erect, and he has no shame or question of why. He's fine with it,
Right.
right? Like he's fine
Yeah.
with how his body responds in the world. And yet, when we look at how people are, and we go into this next line, caught in manifestation, the myriad, the people caught in manifestation, scream all day long, and he hardly notices. He, as a baby, doesn't notice other people, and yet us as an adult, we can see all the people, we focus on them, and we judge them, and we say all of these things about them because we
Yeah.
have lost touch with that non-judgmental part of us. We have lost touch with that just being here, flexible to allow them to be as they are without it influencing us, right? We cannot be harmed as little baby boys because bees, wild beasts, and birds of prey cannot harm him. And yet we can be harmed. And so we hear and see all these people that are yelling all over. And yet the paradox of that is
Mm.
his harmony. That baby boy's harmony is so aligned that he can scream his head off all day without ever getting hoarse when he needs to, when it is in
Yes.
his Tao, when it is within his Dharma to scream all day, he
Hmm.
can, because his harmony is aligned.
That's so interesting. I'm
Now,
gonna
other
sit on that
people
one
can scream.
today.
Other people can
Yeah. Yeah.
scream,
Yeah.
but are they screaming from a place of their Dharma, or are they screaming from a place of their emotional unrest and their ideas of what things are supposed to be like, their judgments? Are they afraid of being injured by bees, wild beasts, or birds of prey, or anything? This little boy is powered by his harmony, and it keeps all fear at bay because he is harmonious with all things. This wraps up with the
That
master
is. Yeah.
never
That is
speaks of possessing anything. Life is the blessing. So yeah, any thoughts there?
deep, deep, but super deep. Yeah. It's funny. It's like when I hear things from the Tao, I always think of how simple, but yet how invertedly complex. You know, it's sort of like, do you know what I mean? It's not complex, but it is complex to decode, and but it's inverted. It's the opposite. It's it's like a dance of the complex and the completely
This, yeah,
simple.
it starts with this super simple kind of, okay, I get it. And then it goes really, really deep. And then once you kind of see the depth, it's simple again.
Yeah.
You know,
Right. Yes.
but
That's
but
it.
but that, yeah, that is just part of its beauty of just like, oh wait, I get it. And then you read it and you're like, wait, maybe I don't get it, because you kind of go in, but then when you
This is
start
deep.
to like,
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then it's like, oh wait, no, this is so simple. This is like actually super simple.
Right.
And I've observed this before.
Yeah. It's like the infinity sign, right? Like as you get to the
Absolutely.
center,
Yeah.
it's an aha moment. But when you get to the outskirts, it's like, where am I?
Yeah.
And then you
You
come
know,
back to the
that's
center,
I
and
don't know
I.
if you are you
What's
familiar
that?
with are you familiar with oh shit, what's it called? Spiritual
Sacred geometry.
um sacred geometry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the
Yeah. I
great
see
things
things
about
in
sacred
geometric.
geometry,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Go ahead. There's a pause, so I'm gonna just
I,
pause. You speak.
yeah. I'm sorry about that. I see things in structures and flows and sacred geometry and a lot of different things in nature and also in life. I see it. I see things in structures like that.
As it
They're
relates
like
to sacred
vectors.
geometry and what you were just talking about, what we see is that what I see is that, you start at the center of the circle, and that circle is your awareness, and then you're at the center of that circle. Well, you move to the edge of that circle, and now you have a new circle of awareness that arises at the edge of that circle. And then you move around that circle to the point of intersection um, of the 2 points of what's the word, awareness, and then you create another circle of awareness, and that is how you move around that initial circle of awareness to create sacred geometry that can then create, the tree of life, and that can create, all of those different sacred geometrical things. And that's what, the Tao does in with its, with rudimentary expression of words, right?
Yeah, we used to have a toy. I don't know if you had a toy like this where you would it was like a round thing with like teeth in it, and you could change the gears and then put a pen in, and it'll go around and it'll create like all of these different patterns and shapes and things like that. I used to absolutely love that when I was a kid. As a
Yeah, that's I forget the name of a spirograph.
Yes, spirograph. That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah, those are interesting, and I really think that a lot of what we are is the intelligence of a fractal that is absolutely perfect.
right.
And yeah, so I definitely concur with that.
So the last lines here are: those who pursue power and excitement find themselves confused. They allow their emotions to guide them. They become exhausted. It is not from Tao, and whatever is not from Tao arrives dead. And like we talk about emotions there, but it's like if you allow your emotions to guide you, you will become exhausted. Absolutely,
That's
absolutely
right.
become exhausted. And the reason is
Hmm.
because it's not coming from Tao. You are not in that space that can provide endless power. You are working with your body, which can only provide enough power. And it takes, it takes energy. It takes calories to be angry or to be happy or to be ecstatic, or and those things often get overwhelming. And when they get overwhelming, we often reach for things like alcohol and other stuff like that to either celebrate or to be sad in, because we can't sustain it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's like, is the baby bottle or pacifier? It's alcohol.
Right.
Is it just basically self-medicating, right? The exact thing that you're talking about,
Hmm.
right? Whereas if, let's say, you were a master baby,
Yeah.
what would you do differently, Martin John? If you were a
Well,
master baby, let's say you were Buddha as a baby and you had Buddha consciousness, what would you
well,
do?
well, then the master never speaks of possessing anything, just like it says here. Life is the blessing. You just live. You don't move towards judgment. You don't move towards right and wrong. You don't speak of possessing anything, meaning you don't have an answer. Those who pursue power and excitement find themselves confused. Right. So the master,
Yes,
like, as a baby, like babies just absorb from their parents the judgments and the all of the
that's right.
things. And so they
Oh, what's wrong? Yeah.
they
Oh, what's wrong? What did you fall?
right.
You know,
Absolutely.
we start to build all these
Yeah, you
things.
you you
Yeah.
you you start to teach them what it's like to live in this world, and to live with
Yes.
judgment of, like, falling down is bad, or
Right.
getting a bad score.
Are you
Yeah,
hungry?
are you
Yeah.
hungry? Not
Yeah.
eating is, or not
Yeah.
eating your peas is
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
versus eating
Yeah.
sugar.
We
It's,
make a big
like, so.
deal.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Wow. So there should be a book about the Tao of parenting.
I'm sure there is.
How-
And that would probably defeat the purpose of having Tao in parenting.
Do nothing. Done.
It is
No.
well,
Uh,
and like when the Tao does say do nothing, it does mean something is done, but it isn't preordained. You know, there is no judgment.
Yeah.
And the child doesn't see the fear because there is nothing to fear because
Hmm.
it knows that it's connected to all things. I want to wish you luck on your talk with Dio today.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you
just
so much for
talking about
coming on.
new things and things like that. Thank you for
Oh,
having me,
okay.
Mark.
Well, tell her I send her my best. I love chatting with her.
Yeah, I still love the talk that you guys did bunch back. If anybody wants to listen to that, Martin John was interviewed by Dio Akaronade. It's on her profile, and it was a great interview. So thank you for
Absolutely. Thank you. We have a number of people in the queue. We're going to start with Cece. And so for everybody knows, I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through the lineup in a bit. Cece, how
Hey,
you doing? How
hello.
is California treating you?
Oh my gosh, it's great. Angelina's fantastic.
Is Angelina with you?
Yes, I'm with Angelina in her like town here in Fairfax,
Oh,
California.
so much love to both of you.
Oh, thank you. She's right in the next room. I could go wake her up if you want.
No,
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 I'm just
no, no,
kidding. I'm
no,
just
none of
kidding.
that. None of that. That's
I'm
a.
totally kidding. I wouldn't do that.
I'm so glad that you're out there and you're having a good time and that you're with Angelina. You guys are making the world just by contributing to each other's lives or and being happy together is really kind of contributing a lot to the entirety of everything. And so I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
the just
Thank
the lives you guys live and everything that you're embracing in your own lives and then all that you offer us.
Thank you so much. And it was lovely to meet you in Chicago
Oh
also.
yes, yes it was. We
Did a
took
bit of a
a
walk.
nice walk and we enjoyed we definitely enjoyed our time and I can't wait for you to return.
Yeah, thank you. It was lovely.
So do you have a
Yeah.
number for today?
Yes, and I was hoping to get your translation as well, if
Oh yeah.
possible. Cool.
If your
Yeah.
number is under 60, you can.
Yes, 13.
13. Lucky number 13.
Yeah. My
Okay.
birthday's coming up.
So, to succeed and to fail are equally undesirable. Creation and destruction are equally present within us. What do I mean by to succeed and to fail are equally undesirable? The more success you have, the more you protect it by hiding failure. The
Mm,
more you associate with failure, the more you embody it. When neither success nor failure is identified as the destination, being becomes the objective. What do I mean by creation and destruction are equally present within us? Having a body and mind with which I identify gets me involved in the manifestation. The manifestation convinces me of my actions, and so naming them, I both create and destroy, neither of which are unique. To see yourself with indifference, you will have faith in all things. To see the world with indifference, you will be able to care for it all. So that's 13.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you. So what are some of your initial thoughts? What are things that popped out to you when I was reading that?
When you had said about just being like I had already written when you said about to succeed and to fail,
Yeah.
um, I had already written just be. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Just
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Don't go for one or the other. Just really enjoy it. Oh,
Yeah. And neither of them. You know, as we look at this, like, what does it mean to succeed and to fail are equally undesirable? The more success you have, the more you protect it by hiding failure. And like when I was writing this, it was really interesting because it was just kind of like, oh well, why is success bad? Like, and we look around at the world and all the things that we find out about people, you know, like whether or not they're sad or whether or not they're doing like weird stuff to pacify in their lives and failure. I know in here, it's written like when neither what does it say, like associating with failure you embody it, but like if you have failures in your life, And I know that I did this for myself. I was just like, oh, I'm such a failure. And
Mm-hmm.
well, since I'm a failure, might as well fail. Might
Right.
as well fail a lot. And that's what brought me into addiction and other things, where it's just like, oh, well, I'm a failure. So
Yep.
might as well embody being a failure,
Right.
you know?
Same
And
here.
those all of those people around us that are successful, that show themselves off on social media or whatever as being successful, they're hiding failure. I had somebody really, kind of close to me, like someone that I knew and, was part of the recovery community. He had a pretty big following, and he was preaching all of his sober stuff, and then showed up dead one day because of an overdose.
Oh,
And this is the thing. The more success you have, the more you protect it by hiding failure.
right.
But failure is an idea that you have in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Failure is that thing that you're holding on to. It's just a concept. It's just some illusion. This is why to
Yeah.
succeed and to failure are equally undesirable. Just be you, damn it.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Right. And yeah, I totally get that too about you know, trying to hide my pain from people, and
Hmm.
definitely sitting talking worse to myself because I'm trying to hide the pain and thinking like because I'm trying to hide my pain, I'm drinking on top of it and then talking crap to myself about the drinking.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And then it's just
mm,
this cycle of
mhm,
being in the mind.
yeah.
And then it continues to state, like, what do I mean by creation and destruction are equally present within us? Well, we just talked about this in failure and success. Having a body and mind with which I identify gets me involved in the manifestation, gets me involved in that which is going on around me, gets me involved in the idea that I can be a failure, gets me involved in all of this physical stuff.
Right.
The manifestation convinces me of my actions, convinces me that my actions are the things that I'm actually doing, and what I am and my identity associated with those actions. And so naming in so naming them, I both create and destroy. I create the action. I create the name of the action, the failure, the I'm a loser, I'm this, I am that. And in doing that, I
Yeah.
limit myself. I limit the reach of my own godliness, of my
Right.
own perfection, because I associated.
Yes, becoming exactly what you were trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And
Well,
neither
thank you.
of
That
these.
was awesome.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
no, I really appreciate you coming up. There are a couple more lines if you wanted me to read them, and I'd
Oh yeah,
love to
sure.
hear
Sorry.
anything else. No,
Yeah,
no,
for
no, no, no.
sure. Mhm.
To see yourself with indifference, you will have faith in all things. To see the world with indifference, you will be able to care for all things.
Mm.
How do you think that relates to everything we were talking about?
It's amazing to see yourself. Yeah, but in difference and see the world. Wow. Again, just being, right?
Hmm.
Just being, just going with the flow, just enjoying it all.
Yeah, you don't have to see yourself as a success,
Right.
and you don't have to see
Or
yourself as a failure.
anything in particular, right?
And you don't have to see yourself as a creator, and you don't have to see yourself as a destroyer. You don't have to identify, you don't, there's the line in here that's so naming them, I both create and destroy. Once I start creating the names for these things, I
Right.
start to differentiate.
Hmm. Yes,
And
like
I
I was saying.
and then it's hard to see yourself with indifference.
Hmm. Yes, like nothing in particular.
Right.
Hmm.
And just like Daryl and I were talking about, right, it's that identifying and judgment.
Hmm. And then comparison and all
Right,
that good
yeah.
stuff. Right. That's amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. So
Really
that's
beautiful.
I
Thanks.
really appreciate you going through that with me, and being open to what I've been working on and stuff. I
Yeah,
appreciate everybody
absolutely.
on this app, but it's really been great to be able to connect with with, you know, like you as an OG and so many beautiful people.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I'm probably going to go
Absolutely.
back and listen to it again when you're done here.
Wonderful.
Great. Thank you,
All right.
Marjan.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you. All right. Looks like we have a number of people in line. Let me bring up Dr. Rao briefly so that, because I'm sure he has some wisdom to share, and then we will move on to Lois and, hey, doctor, how you doing?
Hi, Martin. How are you?
Hello.
Yeah, you are talking about a couple of things that kind of um, I wanted to. Uh,
Speak up, yes.
the perspective, okay,
Mhm.
that comes through is one is we talked about purusharthas, that is four ways of living in this world. They were kind of taken by Seligman in his positive psychology book and discussed about it too. See what they are all. One is the desire, you know, general desire, right? And the other one is to acquire things, not with the same desire, but more like a bodily desires and mental desires and all that, but also this greediness to accumulate things that we have, right? So
Mhm.
the first desire is a karma, they called it, and the accumulation thing is like artha, whatever riches you wanted to get that. But both of them done for our own sake compared to what we want to do for others' sake. That is comes under like a you want to open up yourself for other people and all that. That becomes more like dharma or in the righteous you have to do these pursuits of your desire, pursuit of your want to accumulate, done for other than you, the larger circle, world, family, whatever. That is the done in according to the universal law. That is dharma. So dharma, artha, kama, and what is more important is these things are pursued, the success with which we all now do that. It was to be only west, but now for several centuries now both east and west they follow the
It's
same
the
thing,
whole world, yeah.
whole world. So it's no big deal, you know but the thing is it doesn't lead to kind of fulfilled self, like a happy being and all that, because like Somerset Maugham said, if you stay in the pleasure for a long time, you will no longer be pleasing to you. So
Right.
if you know in the pleasure only, that's the problem with the sensual and otherwise want to satisfy your ego. All these people, whatever they talk about, if they look at it in themselves, they will find that void, vacuum, and really something missing, right? Even though we have so many things outside. So they said there is something in human beings that is beyond these things, and then you can touch that. What they call moksha, okay, liberated from your own mind. See, all the desire, all the acquisition that we want, however great, however noble it is still in the mind,
Yes.
within the thinking. But Brahman and Tao are beyond the thinking.
Yes.
That's where you have complete fulfillment and also real happiness, real contentment.
Hmm.
Not asking for anything. If you ask for more, that's it.
That's it.
So
You are in the mind.
uh,
That was what
so
was really nice about like what I was talking when Daryl was just like, oh, it seems simple and then it's deep and then it's simple again. And I always kind of look at this idea of like, yeah, it seems simple because you're thinking about it. And then it
yeah,
seems deep because you're thinking about it even more. And
no,
then it
there's
seems simple because you
something
can step
about that.
away. What's that?
There's something about that, Martin. You can understand things, but
Yes. That's
realizing that
not it.
in life. That's where the problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
can
that's
say
not
yes,
it. Like it's never it. Like if you
especially intellectuals, they think they know, but they know
Mhm.
only in their mind. But they
Yeah,
can't get out of the mind because that is the prison. You got caught
yes,
up in the mind, so you don't know what is the freedom behind it. You are in
yes.
prison, you're thinking this is everything.
That's
You know,
right. That's right. And then it's like, oh, it's simple. I get it. And it's just like, wait,
yeah,
that's when you
yeah.
know you don't. That's when you know you don't. And that's
This,
such a beautiful invitation to just let
yeah,
go.
this is a big deal because
It
do
is.
you
No,
are
I
you just
agree.
stand in your mind, or you are like kind of I
Yeah.
don't know that you are in the present. That's the
Yeah.
problem. That's why a lot of people cannot understand the people who are established in the Tao or the Brahman or
Yeah.
Buddhahood. There was a question, right? What would Buddha do? He was a parenting to the entire world, not just to a few people. So they are parenting all the time.
That's right.
But, but the thing is, there's an unconditional acceptance of no condemning, no blaming at all. It's like you take the journey from ignorance to this enlightenment. Various people are there, more of a degree of their ignorance than what kind. So once you see the degree of ignorance, then you are not going to condemn them. You're going to bring them along by taking the hand or helping them. Not saying like I'm going to be telling you you're going to learn. Not that at all. So
Right. You're just
Buddha,
going to allow
yeah.
yourself to love
No,
them
I thought there
how
was a
they are.
question about enlightened being people
Right.
being parents. That means they are not parenting in a limiting sense only to the children that they have, because they don't have that me and others. They are
Right.
all included. So they are parenting for everybody, kind of. Yeah. So that's why they can stay in the caves. They can think about these things. But then what happens is the limitation is not there for them, so they are parenting the entire world
Mm-hmm.
just by having the insights into these greater things and then presenting to them. But the thing is, we think we are, because we are thinking. But then, Tao says, or the Brahman says, we exist. That's why we think.
That's right. That's right. It's not like I'm not a Cartesian. I don't.
Yeah, uh,
I'm not. I've been fighting against Cartesian ideas for decades.
yeah,
Not fighting, but like I'm just like no, I'm not. Like that's not my game. That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
yeah. Okay.
It's always great to have you come on and help me just be a little more.
I'm trying to hold you where you are.
Yes,
Not
I
to-
I, I appreciate it.
Listen to this. Do you want to let your life drag you from the ideal, or you want to use your life struggle to elevate yourself to the ideal?
I am the ideal, Dr. Ross.
Yeah. You have to elevate yourselves to the ideal. You are not the
Okay.
ideal. The ideal is there and you want
Yeah.
to go there. That's it. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
like even in wanting to go there, it's like I just want to be here
No,
and
no,
experience.
I know. I know what you are doing, but what I'm just saying to other people to understand.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
But they have to examine in their life on their own. Because we don't
Yeah.
want to
Right.
point to.
Yeah. We don't tell anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even condemn them. But
No, well, there's nothing to condemn. They're doing
yeah,
even if it's it's the thinking that you are somewhere that
yeah.
gets confused. It's like you are somewhere, but to
No,
think that
you
you're somewhere is
you
abs-
are
just you are here.
you are there. That's it.
That's right. That's right.
You
Exactly.
don't
Every time.
travel anywhere. It's only the from ignorance to knowledge that is the travel. But
That's
otherwise,
right. That's the travel.
once your clouds are lifted, and then one thing though, I always emphasize this to people. This is something about not desires, not about acquisition, not
Hmm.
about doing so much social work or bringing up everybody. Not is that, but by really realizing that state, that itself very blissful and most rewarding thing, really. But we don't want to corrupt people, but that is the truth.
Yes,
And that's why you can be away from this sensual indulgence and the addictions and all that, because these are all small compared to that bliss.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I'll stop there. Thank you.
Always. My love to you. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
Thomas Remy, you're back. Are you back from Switzerland? You saw some amazing art, and I'm really glad that you posted those things. How you doing, bro?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You're back in the States, eh?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back,
How long
man.
were you? How
I'm
long
back.
were you
I
overseas?
love 2 weeks,
Oh man,
14
that's
days.
very nice. That becomes for me 14 days is a long time. 14 days is a long time. Like to be away from all the things, But it's
Out of your
what's
comfort
that?
zone. Out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It was because it was my first time in Europe.
Oh,
Um,
well, congratulations.
everything. Thank you on that. And everything was a new experience. So, like you say, those 14 days was long.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a long time. Long time to just be constantly just out of your skin. I remember I
Exactly.
remember my
Embracing new
first time
experiences.
overseas. So there seems to be a little bit of a lag. So I'm gonna always pause a little bit, or I'll say go ahead when we just so we're all on the same page. But when we when the first time I was overseas, um, I didn't know I can go overseas. Like I got my passport literally a couple months before I went overseas, and it was because of someone in my life that was just like, "We're gonna go visit my family in Italy," and I was like, "Oh, I don't know that I can do that." And I mean, I was a kid that couldn't leave my block, because of the people that I was associated with and stuff like that. So it was a completely different experience, but it really, I mean, it didn't change me. I had already begun the process that I have been on since before then, but it really solidified me being who I am. Go on.
Amen. And that's perfectly said because we don't know what we don't know. And we may think that we're in a certain situation or where we're happy with ourselves, but until you get out of that box and envelop yourself in new experiences, you don't know what you don't know. And for me, this was it solidified, if I can say, a lot of beliefs that I had within myself. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
It like
Like what
reaffirms
I look
you.
at. Yeah, what I see, I'm gonna go ahead. What I see is, like, and what happened for me was understanding that we're all one. Like understanding that even though I'm in this place, we can still communicate. We still all eat food. We still all do like just because I don't know you doesn't mean that I don't know. And I can look inside myself and see that which is connected to everything. Go ahead.
Exactly, brother. Which led me to tagging in this morning because one, we connected on the side and said that we would connect with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I saw you, but the uh, the conversation that you had with the lady prior to Dr. Rao, which I want to say good morning to Dr. Rao as well. I know he follows both you and I, in our conversation. So good morning, doctor. But what you said is so profound with the conversation, both of y'all, because her as well, but in the sense of the consciousness of our word choice and how important this is, you know, and
Yeah.
we say so many things that we in our mind construe as positive, but life, in my opinion and my belief, is binary. It only knows yes and no. One is positive, one is negative. And we say so many negative things without even realizing it. And it's like, for example, people, we go around and we chant no war, no war, no war, no war. But what is life hearing? Right? It's hearing two negatives. It's hearing no and it's hearing war. and it's resonating along with that. And when you take that into self, how many of these negatives am I saying about self? What you said, what you guys have been discussing, man, is power. And I want your listeners to understand that this is power. This is the power that people have been trying to keep hidden from us,
Mm-hmm.
right? By telling us, oh, we're conceited if we talk about, like, ourselves about that way and such. And no, like you and Dr. Rao said, this is not something that you have to pronounce to people, because that is conceit. Your
Mm-hmm.
actions are that. That inside, I am a master. I am a beast. I know this.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to tell you, because I'm gonna show you by what I do and how I act and how I
If I
walk.
if if I had to prove it, I
Oh,
wouldn't be a
well,
master.
that's right. That's right. But these people have made us feel so insecure about doing that, because they know the power in that. So again, brother, my brother, I am so glad
Hell yeah.
I'm with you, and please keep this power going, because this is the truth.
Well, I will, and I'd love to ask you for a number between 1 and 81, and we'll read a little Tao together.
So I'm glad that you asked me. We're in tune, brother. Tomorrow is my birthday. I'll be 47
Ah,
tomorrow.
I'm
So we are
47. Look
going
at
to
that.
go. Yeah, there you go. In tune. The universe is working. So let me go with the number 75, which of course you know why.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Oh, this is beautiful. I think this is going to be beautiful for you. I'm going to read it, and then I'll, once
In
again,
tune.
because there's a little lag, I'll just be like, all right. So, when taxes are too high, people go hungry. When the government is too intrusive, people lose their spirit. Act for the people's benefit. Trust them. Leave them alone. That's it.
Mm. In tune. Everything is in tune.
Mm-hmm.
This is again exactly what it is that we're talking about, is having faith in self, and knowing the difference between, if I heard correctly, just knowing the difference between being led and leading. Yes?
Yeah. So what? So let's look at this once again. There's this little lag, so I want to make sure that we're on the same page. When taxes are too high, people go hungry, and I know you and your work focuses on how the prison system and how the prison complex is like really keeping people down and how politicians and stuff like you are doing really great work in this area. And so, when we look at this first line, I'd love to hear your thoughts. When taxes are too high, people go hungry. Talk to me about like how you see taxes. I look at taxes as being all sorts of stuff, like how do you tax a system? When taxes are too high, people go hungry. Talk to me about that.
Well, for me, like you say, taxes is one of many things. And of course, uh, you know, you and I, coming from the environment that we came from, we use tax in many forms. That person got taxed. What did they
Mm-hmm.
get taxed for? Well, they got taxed for their actions. So it's when the taxes are high, when the actions are high, to where people cannot sustain, we start to go hungry. The poor, the people on the bottom, right? Because we're
Mm-hmm.
being taxed. The taxes are high. The dues are many, but again, everything falls to self for me. It falls into what is it that we are doing that's causing this strife. If I'm making sense, I don't think I'm articulating it the way that I really want to, but I guess how
Well,
it's
it's
resonating to
interesting.
me is the taxes. The
No, go
taxes
ahead.
is
Go ahead.
high.
Continue.
The the taxes is high. The people are hungry. The people go hungry.
When
Help
I
me.
hear that, I always think about this idea of hunger for themselves, like hunger for you. And what is the tax there, right? Like taxes is, like you were saying earlier, they want us to be a certain way. So if you want to, if you want to drive a Mercedes, if you want to be abundant in this one specific way, well, that all has to go through a funnel. That funnel, because money is, imagined in this way, right? Like abundance is something that we can have everywhere. But like if you want to be associated with the mind, if you want to be associated with the physical experience of everything, well, then you're going to be taxed. And as you're taxed for that experience, you're going to go hungry. You're going to go hungry looking for fulfillment. You're going to go hungry looking for, and all the people that, even the people on top, they're being taxed. And I'm not talking about taxed financially. I'm talking about taxed in their soul.
Right. That's the
Yeah.
tax that we were talking about. Like this person has been taxed. Why did this person, going back to like my profession, as you were saying, in prison, somebody gets stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anybody that's been in prison, we know you don't get stabbed for no reason. Like we're not running around just stabbing people, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So the first thing that comes to your mind is, well, that must have been taxed. He must have got taxed for something.
Mm-hmm.
That he did that resulted in that action to occur.
Mm-hmm. And that happens out here in the world
Amen.
everywhere. That's not just something that happens in prison. People, but it might not happen in that way, right? It might not, because like you're treating people
Exactly.
in prison in a way that makes them feel like they have no recourse. And so the only recourse they have is this real deep, deep, gut instinctual way. And so like when taxes are too high, people go hungry. And when the government is too intrusive, people lose their spirit. And when we talk about people in prison, that is government being intrusive. That is forcing you to live under every waking moment of your life influenced by a rule made by somebody else. And the whole point of our current prison system is to help people lose their spirit.
That's exactly, man. Listen, man, and how to, because I don't want to take up. I know you may have some other, and
That's all right. We got
but
2 minutes left. You
to
keep it up.
put this in context out into societal form, right? Is that prison stabbing? Say, for instance, your family member, someone you love, someone's close to you. They're doing things to you. They may take something in your mind. You're equating that this person stole from you, but there are actions that are occurring to you in a negative light, a chaotic fashion, and you are not recognizing why this chaos is coming to you. And it's in the same sense, the prison stabbing. People are stabbing you in the back, and you cannot understand why, because for whatever reason, this particular person can just not stop for 1 second and say, maybe it's something I'm doing to bring this chaos to me, to make these people react to me. And I'm not looking at that because I'm constantly blaming the other person.
That's right. It's funny today, this morning, I'm looking for it now. Da, 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 da. But either way, I'm not finding it at the moment. But where the hell is it?
Well, I got 1 minute left, brother.
All
This
right,
is what I
yeah.
want to
Either way,
say.
no, I hear that. Go on.
I do want to do. I want to get. I do want to do a show with you in particular about my adventures in Switzerland.
Oh, that'd be great.
A lot. It was very spiritual for me, and the whole time I'm over there, I'm sitting there saying, I cannot wait to get back to Brother Martin John and do an episode with him. I'm getting into the office. I'm on my way to the office now to start moving stuff in, get my podcast booth set up in there. and we are going to blow up with this stuff.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I love you, man. And I found this quote that I wrote this morning, and I want that it related. Stop taking eternity to learn the lessons that your experiences have been giving you.
Say it
Stop
again.
taking eternity to learn the lessons that your experiences have been giving you.
Amen. Those that cannot hear must feel.
That's right. That's right. Brother, it's great to talk with you. Welcome back. We'll be in touch.
Amen, brother.
And Mary Kay, my dear. This is going to be the last one, folks, so do not line up in the queue. If I see a lineup, I will let you know. But Mary, how are you today?
Is it me?
It's you.
Oh, I was mopping the floors, talking about prison system and erection. I'll start with erection. My nephew, I had to, we were always working, and so my sister calls me years ago, and says, "Please take care of my son." I said, "Okay." I always did, family and friends, and so I spoke with him and I said, "Christian, you're old enough to take your own shower, but I'll be watching." And he said, "Yes, Aunt Mary." I said, "But do not close the door."
Mm-hmm.
And so I was downstairs teaching him, trying to teach him, and he takes a bath and he puts on his robe. So I'm downstairs and he's yelling, "Aunt Mary, Aunt Mary," yelling. And I'm like, and then he opens up his robe. He goes, "Look, look." And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, he had an erection. He didn't even know it. He was innocent."
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I could not even explain. And I did not. I said, "That's okay, Chris. Go ahead and get dressed." And this is the first time that a child, innocent,
That's
and
right.
and I wanted to call his mom and dad, but I said, "No, they're away on business. This is the last thing that they need is for me, the aunt, to say Chris had an erection." So talk about the prison system. Thomas, I listened to you on another conversation. No judgment.
We're gonna pause right there, and we're gonna take a number. We know
Okay. Okay, that's
we're gonna
good.
round this. I love
You
the
did
erection
good.
story.
You
There's
did
nothing
good.
better than an erection story.
Uh, oh, he was amazing. He was
It
so
always is, isn't it? Isn't it
Christian.
great?
Now you
So,
can,
so give me a number between 1 and 81, Mary.
81, 61.
61. Off we go. 61. We're gonna rely on our old friend Stephen Mitchell. And
Whoa.
when a country obtains great power, it is like the sea. All streams run down into it. The more powerful it grows, the greater the need for humility.
Mm.
Humility means trusting the Tao, thus never needing to be defensive. A great nation is like a great man. When he makes a mistake, he realizes it. Having realized it, he admits it. Having admitted it, he corrects it. Having considered those who point out, he considers those who point out his faults as his most benevolent teachers.
I
He
learned
thinks,
a lot.
he thinks of his enemy as the shadow that he himself casts. If a nation is centered in the Tao, it is if it nourishes its own people and doesn't meddle in the affairs of others, it will be a light to all the nations in the world.
It's funny you talked about nations, and it's funny that Thomas went to Europe,
Oh,
and that's where I'm from.
yeah.
But wow.
So as we go through this, and I'll guide this a little bit because it is a big one. It's got a lot of lines, but what we end with is the nation centered on the Tao is if it nourishes its own people and doesn't meddle in the affairs of others, it will be a light to all the nations in the world. This is where we're going to end. The idea of this chapter
Beacon
is
of light.
beacon of light, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to make your nation a beacon of light? Okay, then we go back to the beginning, and what we start with, if a country obtains great power, it becomes like the sea. All streams run downward into it. Now that,
I'm getting emotional. I am not an emotional person.
no.
Very rarely. And next picture is going to be about the sea. And I'm looking at the sea. And I was photographed from the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I am emotional. I was going to put that picture on, but I thought it was a little, I'm in a bikini. But you know what? The sea has so much emotions going on.
Well, the sea is still, and it's the emotions are coming from the rivers and
Yeah,
from all of the water that it obtains, and they go into the sea, and the sea absorbs it. The sea absorbs those emotions, and the more powerful it grows by absorbing all
I
that.
got a phone call. Hold on.
Okay, the
Continue.
greater need. I'm going to continue because we're live. The greater need for humility. Humility means trusting the Tao, thus never needing to be defensive. And that's the thing. That's such a big part of this. It's like when you are emotional, then you may do things that need to be defensive of. But when you can be deep, when you can be here, when you can have humility in this moment, you won't act, like Dr. Rao was saying, you won't act in a way that you are responding to the film, but you'll respond to the screen because the screen is actually the thing that you're here to look at. This is the reality. The reality of everything is the screen, and the ocean knows the screen while the rivers know the movie, right? It is this space of being easily manipulated where the ocean is not. The ocean is able to be calm in its own space. I'm gonna step out while Mary has a call and bring Lois on, and then Mary can come back up if she has the time, and we will revisit 61. That way, Lois can come up because she has been in the queue, and it was unfortunate that I didn't see her in the queue. Girl, how you doing?
No, that's okay. It kicked me out. But it
Yeah,
still said I was still there. And I was like,
yeah, and I was,
okay.
yeah, I thought you were, I thought you had, because I was like, oh, damn it, like, because I saw you
No,
behind Dr.
you
Rao,
ain't
and
I
then
ain't gonna leave you, Martin.
I was like, oh, what the, like, Lois?
No, I
No,
wouldn't do
it's
that.
always all right.
I'm getting
So,
dressed. So I didn't even see that when till you said, "Oh, Mary was the only one in the queue," and I'm like, "Hold up, wait a minute, I'm still here."
well, I'm glad you wrote me a message because I was able to address that then.
Okay, I
So,
gotta go with number 55
55.
because the fives have come up 3 times in the last 24 hours.
They've been coming up for me a lot too.
It was 555, 555. And it came up again this morning, 555. So I said, okay, you
Yeah.
know what, Martin John, come on. You were in Frankie James' room, and I was thinking, go do your show so I can come in there and find out what because I did
I
look
was
it
there
up
for a
and it
minute.
had some good shit, but I wanted to hear
Yeah.
what the I wanted to discuss the 55 with you and see what that says.
55. Burr. Daryl. Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's look at this. This is interesting. Okay. So, I have a very, yeah, okay. One who has inner strength is like a baby boy, at its peak, flexible and empty with no judgment. Bees, wild beasts, birds of prey cannot harm him. With no knowledge of the world, his penis can stand erect. This is what we were talking about with.
I'm
He has
sorry.
no shame or question of why. Caught in manifestation, The myriad scream for a time and he hardly notices.
Yes.
His harmony is so aligned, he can scream his head off all day without getting hoarse. He is
Mhm.
powered by his harmony, and it keeps fear at bay. The master never speaks of possessing anything. Life is the blessing. Those who pursue power and excitement find themselves confused. They allow their emotions to guide them, and they become exhausted. It is not from Tao, and whatever is not from Tao arrives dead.
Oh, we yes, yes, yes. Let's start back at the beginning of that because
Absolutely. Yeah.
you
So,
you hit a lot of stuff.
one who has inner strength is like a baby boy. And the reason that it's like a baby boy is because we're going to go through the penis thing in a bit. But
Right.
at his peak, flexible and empty with no judgment, bees, wild beasts, and birds of prey cannot harm him. So, how do you see that?
Okay, when I know that ever since I've been on this journey for me, I can only talk about me. I'm not gonna talk about
Yeah.
nobody else. Since I've been on this journey, I found peace, and things can go all to hell around me. I'm like that little kid sitting on the swing, swinging, and the inferno is burning behind me. It doesn't mean that I noticed it was there. It just means it doesn't concern me, so I send love to it and keep on about my business. But
Mm,
I know that as long as I stay in peace and stay in this place as if I'm an infant, okay, knowing nothing and just examining the world, everything is new to me. Just like when I was over in France, everything was new to me. Like somebody else said about going somewhere else, everything was new to me. Nothing was familiar, and to me it was fun because I had no real expectations because I knew I didn't know the language when I went. Okay, I knew I did not know that shit. Okay, I didn't
mm,
practice. I didn't say, "Oh, I had so many years of friends, so I'm gonna know." Now, I did know some words. I don't know Spanish, but I was speaking in Spanish, French, and English. But the whole thing was is that I was at peace with what was going on all around me because I was at peace with myself, and there was no fear. There was nothing to. I was able to be flexible. I was able to bend and roll with all the cancellation of mature and all that kind of garbage and stuff that was supposed to affect me, okay, that would have affected the old me. And I was just able to be like a little kid, and I fell down, I got up, brushed it off, and I fell down again, I got up, brushed it off, and keep on, can't keep
mm-hmm.
it moving, staying in my power, staying in my peace. That's my power. Your peace is your power. Staying in
I
my
hear that, and it's so much, like at his peak, flexible and empty without judgment. Like
yes,
this idea that like if you were to judge every time you fell down, it would get harder and harder and harder for you to get back up.
amen.
And
That
then it
part.
would make and then the next line, bees, wild beasts, and birds of prey could not harm him, right? Or cannot harm him. And if you were to judge those moments, each one of the reasons that you fell down would become your enemy, would become a bee, would become would become a wild beast that every time you fell down, you would then see a new wild beast in your sights.
Exactly, because you would have labeled that fall down. I mean, like I said, but when you don't label things and you don't hold on to things and you don't possess the things or possess that it got to go this way, it got to go that way. And I mean, I understand people make plans. I understand that, but
Of
if
course.
you stuck on your plan and you're not flexible, you might miss out on your blessing. So for
That's
me,
right.
I learned how to roll with and every day some adverse shit happened, and I ain't gonna sit here and lie and say it didn't. Okay, 'cause
No.
it wasn't peachy
But it
keen,
doesn't have to it doesn't have to
but
make you
stop me.
change you for this
No,
for that.
exactly. And because I was at peace, everything just continued flowing. Talk about the ocean. The ocean is still, but it's teeming with life underneath.
Yes.
Oh, and when that life is moving, the ocean is going to have its waves and stuff, but that doesn't affect the life underneath. The life is
Right.
still going on, even though the storms may rage and the waves come all that kind of stuff. So the thing is long it basically this is coming to me saying as long as I stay in my place of peace, because I know now I everywhere I go, animals follow me. if I
Mm-hmm.
if I express appreciation to something I've never seen before, like a water buffalo, Lloyd, stop! That thing is coming near us. Stop! Oh, that is so cute, though. Oh my God, I've never seen it. Yeah, and it started coming toward me, and everybody, got on my case. But the thing is that when you're at peace with yourself, everything around you is at peace with you, and there's no fight, and in that you're treating yourself like a child. Because I know when my kids never learned how to walk, if they fell down, I didn't say, "You stupid because you fell. Why did you fall? Where didn't you see that over there? Didn't you see that wall?" Because they
Mm-hmm.
were running into walls. Okay, they whoa, 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 bam. I'm like, wow. And I let them fall though. I would actually let
That's
them
right.
fall. And if they cried, I went to them. But if they didn't cry, I ain't go nowhere. I didn't respond every time they hit the wall.
That's right.
And that taught them that it was okay to get up. But if I responded to them hitting the walls, oh my Jesus, they would
Mm-hmm.
have cried forever. And there were some
That's right.
times where it did it, but yeah, but if you maintain your peace, you can flow anywhere, anywhere. But go ahead.
Yeah.
That was
And this one
that.
continues, and this is where we talk about the penis. When no,
Mhm.
with no knowledge of the world, his penis can stand erect. That means, with no knowledge of like what the hell this thing does, he has no shame or questions of why that happens.
Mm-mm. Because he has no presuppositions and no
That's
nothing,
right. No judgment.
and there's
No,
no
it doesn't
judgment.
matter.
And if there's no
Yeah,
judgment, there's no shame. There's no like, oh my God, that shouldn't go down, go down,
that's right.
because he don't even know what to do with it.
That's right. But it is doing its thing. Like
Yeah.
your body is in control here. Like your body's going to do what it needs to do, and you don't have to know about it. Means like if you wake up one day and you're sad, just be sad. What's up with that? Like you don't have to follow the story of it, but your body can be sad if it doesn't have energy, whatever. You can have that feeling. You can have that experience without it being defined, without you having judgment around it.
Oh, that's good. Because yesterday, I'm gonna say this. You asked me and I was after I climbed that mountain, and I was sore and all that other kind of stuff. You had asked me, well, and I told you I left fear on the mountain. You asked me, did you let go of that cry yet? And I
Yeah.
said, no, it ain't came yet. Yesterday,
Yeah.
I woke up and I was just like boo-hooing, and I ain't got nothing to boo-hoo for. And I
That's right.
said, I got to talk to Martin John because that was
Let it go.
the rest of that release. Because
Yeah.
it came out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
I let myself sit in it. I was like, where's this come from? Then I said, no, I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to cry. And
Let it.
because it wasn't coming from nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. I didn't say this happened. Now I cried. No, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
nothing. I was sitting here having my little happy day, and all of a sudden the tears started flowing.
Yep.
So I let them, and I didn't judge them, and I
Uh-uh.
allowed that peace, and I was able to get up and go. Now, had I
Yep.
held on to it and tried to figure out a reason why I was doing it,
Yep.
okay, I would come up with
You still
reasons
be
to
there.
do
You'll
it,
still be. You still be
and
holding
I
on, going.
still.
I can't cry until I know. Well, fuck that. You
Yes,
don't have
fuck
to.
that.
You don't have to
Okay,
know.
yeah, there you go. Fuck that shit. Okay,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna let them go. I'm gonna let them cry,
Like.
let them go. And then my sister called me and said, "Hey, I'm going on the app. Come on the app." And then all of a sudden they was like dried up, and I was like, "Okay, wow, that was out of nowhere." And
That's
I
right.
actually said that to myself out loud. Wow, that was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Then and then that's what I said. That's when I thought of you, and I was like, "Oh, the release." And then
Yeah.
that may have been what it was. It may have been something totally different.
Yeah.
But I was
Absolutely. But it doesn't
there.
matter. It doesn't matter.
I wasn't gonna sit in there question it. I'm gonna let it go and let it do what it gotta do. Let it flow. Let it. I mean, go
That's
here
right.
again.
Because
Go on with
that's
the
who you are. Right now, that's who you are.
yeah.
And then this thing continues and states, caught in manifestation, the myriad of people scream for a time, and he hardly notices. And other people can scream all they want. He doesn't have to notice. That's not his business. His
There it is.
harmony, his harmony is so aligned that he can scream all day without
Mm.
getting hoarse. Now that just is like that's that's the balance of everything. He doesn't have to pay attention when other people scream, and he can scream all day, and no one has to pay attention to him.
But
But that's
there,
fine.
there it is. And it's
He is
about
powered by his harmony.
staying in your own lane, being at peace with you.
That's
And
right.
you can let anything flow through. It's to
Yeah.
flow through. It's not to stick in. It's to flow through. And when
That's
you
right.
do that, and I don't know, like I said, I was able to get up yesterday, go to the pet show thing, and have me some fun and meet some people, and just had a good old time at what was it, Super Zoo is where I went. You know,
Mm,
I'm dressed now to go back today, but I got to take my dog to the vet first. But yeah, so it's kind of like you can go with the flow if you're staying in your own lane, being concerned about your own growth, being concerned about what you have to do to make you a better you for you, not to
that's
make you a better you for some damn body else.
yeah.
That's in their lane. Okay,
He is, yeah, he is powered by his harmony, and it
there
keeps
it is.
all fear at bay. Fear of trying to do something for other people or whatever. Anything that, we talked about earlier with getting caught in the manifestation, getting
Yes,
caught in the story of everything. The
yes.
master never speaks of possessing anything. Life is the blessing. Those who
Yeah,
pursue power and excitement find themselves confused.
been
They
there, done.
allow their emotions to guide them and they become exhausted.
Been there, done that. That's
Yeah.
why I had to find that place of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and find that place of flow. And I didn't
Yeah.
find that place of peace without allowing things to flow through, and recognize
That's
that if I was going through hell, I had to keep on going. I didn't have to. I
mm-hmm.
wasn't supposed to stop. Okay, so yeah, this is a good one. This is a good
Mm-hmm.
one. The what I read about the 55 and it was 555 it was that it's time for new adventures and going out and staying positive. So
Yeah. Like
yeah,
angel number 555. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, like it's all like and like that idea of staying positive as if we wanted to relate that here, it's this idea of not having judgment. Don't have
yeah,
judgment towards that which you are approaching and things that are new. It's so
mhm,
often so many people they can see a new thing and then just shun it, you know. Just say
right,
no. I don't want that because it's not who I know myself to be. It's not part of my identity. Well, it's not part of
okay,
your identity yet, but if it's come into your awareness,
hmm,
if you have awareness of it,
it's yours.
it's yours.
It's
Go get
yours,
it.
and
Go get it.
it's also expectations. If you
Hmm.
go into a situation with all your preconceived expectations, you're gonna end up not getting what you expect because you ain't supposed to be going into a place with all these damn expectations.
That's
You're supposed
right.
to be just going into a place. But I love you, my brother, and I had to bring them fives up because I wanted to see what the fives meant in the dial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So I'll
well,
let you get back to Mary, and I'm gonna go ahead and get out. I mean, go in here and make my breakfast so I can get this dog to the vet on time.
yeah.
All right.
You have a great day today, and good luck with your
You
with your
too.
dog and
You
everything
too.
else. Love you too.
Thank. All right. Love you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay, well, Mary didn't come back in, but I am going to end for the day because we are a little over my hour. But I love to talk to you guys, Mary and Lois, Daryl. Thanks for coming up with me, and Cece, Dr. Rao, and Thomas Freemy. It's always great being connected with you. I love the work you're doing, and I'm excited to reconnect and see what learn more about your trip to Switzerland. So until next time, this is Martin John, and if you benefit from the work I do, I can always use a little financial help. So you can send me a tip through Venmo at @MartinJohn_Garcia. Love you guys so much, and looking forward to presenting more Tao with you tomorrow morning, sometime in the morning hours here, Central Time. But once again, until next time, keep recovering yourself.